This is the Helpful Art Teacher showing you how to use Photoshop to put faces on fruit. I took the photo of the apple with my cell phone, and I had my husband take a close-up photograph of my mouth with my cell phone. I then emailed them to myself, downloaded them to my computer, and opened them on Photoshop. As soon as I opened them, I changed the resolution from 72 pixels per square inch to 300 pixels per square inch. And now the next thing I did was I used the lasso tool, which is on the left, and I cut out the mouth with the lasso tool, and I pasted it onto the apple. The next step is I wanted to warp the mouth so that it looked like it was wrapping around the apple. So I just did edit, and I used different edit tools to distort it and try and wrap it around the apple. You can see I'm experimenting around with the various tools. This is a great opportunity for students to play around with the different features of the transform tool and see what works and what doesn't. I like the warp tool because it gives you this mesh, and you sort of pull out the middle, and it looks rounder, and you can compress the edges to look like it's really wrapping around the apple. I also did some things to distort the lower lip by just selecting that. I selected the teeth in the middle and warped them. Just be careful that you don't create holes or gaps in the middle of the mouth. I'm now going to go to the bottom layer, and I'm going to use the clone stamp. I'm going to adjust the width of the clone stamp, and then I'm going to click around the edge of the mouth on the bottom layer, and I'm going to hit the Alt key, and that is going to be my source for cloning. Then I'm going to go to the top layer, and I'm just going to draw right around the edge of the mouth. And what it's going to draw there is whatever's underneath it. Whatever's on the apple on that first layer is going to be drawn on the edge of the mouth, which is essentially going to make the edge of the mouth look like it's coming out of the apple. So it's kind of a neat trick. The clone stamp will take a different part of your Photoshop document and duplicate it wherever you want it to be. So in this case, I'm taking what's on the bottom layer and duplicating it on the top layer to hide the edges of the mouth. So that's the secret trick to making the mouth look like it's actually coming right out of the apple. Next up, I'm going to use the burn tool, which is something that you can use to darken areas of the image. And just like the clone stamp, you can adjust the width of the burn tool to as fine or as broad as you like just by going to the upper left-hand corner and adjusting it. So this is the burn tool, and I'm going to use it to just make the shadows on the mouth compatible with the shadows on the apple by just darkening certain areas, making the whole thing look three-dimensional. And again, if I darken anything in a way I don't like, I can always hit Edit Undo. So that's the burn tool. I can also use the smear tool to blend two areas. That's a fun tool to use. And then the opposite of the burn tool is the dodge tool, which lightens certain areas. The dodge tool looks like a little wand with almost like a lollipop shape, not to be confused with the magnifying glass. And that's the opposite of the burn tool. It's used to lighten certain areas without erasing. So I'm just now using the dodge tool and the burn tool to make the light and shadows on the mouth look compatible with the light and shadows on the apple. And now I'm going to use the warp tool again to make the whole thing look a little rounder. It's a very convenient transformation tool, but I'd like you to try using all the transform tools in your arsenal to to make the mouth look like it's really coming out of the apple. You're creating an optical illusion. And you want it to be so convincing that people look at it and go, wow, how'd they do that? When you're satisfied with the way your finished product looks, don't forget to save it as a PNG file. That's a portable network graphic file. But also don't forget to resize it. When you enlarged it to 300 pixels per square inch, you also created a gigantic file. So don't forget to make it, I would say probably 8 by 10 is a good size. And usually what I tell students is to wait till the very end to resize their canvas. So you just go image size, and then you create an 8 by 10 file, and you'll still have a very high resolution image that you can upload to Google Classroom and turn in for a grade. This is the Helpful Art Teacher, Rachel Winneberg, showing you how to put faces on fruit.